All right, people. So, this is 2025, and I wanted to do something that I had started last year, but really didn't have the time or to devote to. But I had noticed that on my website, Rondaisms, and that quite a few people had reached out with questions about personal finance, legal, education, FAFSA, student loans, etc. That I just didn't have time or opportunity to address in articles. And so I had started doing, particularly when it came to the student loan stuff, I started putting out some short videos on YouTube to try to condense it. I know this is the generation where people don't read, so I'm a reader. It breaks my heart, but I wanted to make sure that information was accessible. When I started Rondaisms, gosh, I want to say that was back in 2009, probably earlier than that. When I started it, the whole point was to educate, inform, and provide resources for for you guys. I've done mentoring for first generation college students. I was a college instructor. I taught the required freshman writing, critical thinking, and analytical reasoning class. And I've done a bunch of pro bono as an attorney. And just throughout that entire process and journey, having people come up to me, ask me certain questions, like I said, as a lawyer and in my role as a writer and journalist. And so I had some time here in 2025, and I wanted to take this time instead of doing articles because I know everybody's time is crunched and you're being inundated by tons of information. And I was like, well, maybe it would be better to try to do. My goal is to keep these videos under 15 minutes so that you can refer back to my articles that I've written in Rondaisms. And like I've written extensively about these topics that we're going to discuss. Maybe a couple of topics, not so much in depth. But if you just want to follow up, go to rondaisms.com, RONDAISMS.com, and you can just go and scroll through the categories. There's a category, personal finance, education, relationships, dream chasing, women, business, entrepreneurships. It's all there. When I started doing my mentorship for first generation college students, I started a different website, and it's called matrixnavigation.com. And so when I start talking to the parents in the about college and transitioning, and for you high school students and first generation college students, feel free to pop over there. There's some resources there. I haven't done much with Matrix because I think I was doing some board work with some nonprofits that were helping first generation college students. So once that started, I kind of laid off of there. But the resources that are on that website are still useful and helpful. So, like I said, the goal for 2025 is to try to put out more of these 15 minutes or less videos to address topics and topics that for this past year and like over Thanksgiving and Christmas and other holidays, people coming up to me and was like, hey, I saw your article about student loans. I have a question about this. Or I saw the article about women and investing, or how do I build generational wealth. One thing I am going to discuss is something that I've had several people come to me about, particularly after the pandemic happened, and that is going to be about funerals, inheritance, wills, and estates. And that's going to probably be a two-parter. So many people experience loss, and particularly young people, and that was something that I had many people reach out to me. The elders in my family have passed. I have to do a funeral. I've never done the funeral. The elders handle the funeral. What does this mean? Or, where is the paperwork? Where do I begin? So we're going to go get into some, what I'm going to call life skills. So this is Rondaisms, and we're going to call these life skills because it's stuff that when I did youth mentorship, the conversations I would have with the teenagers and the first generation college students was this isn't stuff that because you're first generation or if you grew up poor or whatever, like you don't know what you don't know. But these are life skills that someone should have taught you by 18. Like if you're going to be moving in this world, here are just tidbits that you need to know, not only to survive, but to thrive. And I know, so when I talk about some of these things, I will break it down for here's what you need to know. If you're first generation, your first generation college, you're first person in your family to start generating wealth. And I'm not saying you're a millionaire, but here's how you go from, okay, yeah, I got a savings account, but how do I build that? How do I do more? And I know there are several websites out there saying, just do this. But here's the thing. Your situations change and your goals change. And as you navigate certain life changes, and like the person you were at 18 is not the person you are at 21, 25, 30. Things change. And so should your vision and goal planning. Yes, it's nice to have a vision board, but that changes as you get older. And also your priorities, with the things that you thought you needed in life to make you happy, no longer are the things that you need to make you happy. So one of the things that I want to impress upon people, I know it's the beginning of the new year and everybody's like, New Year's resolutions. Don't believe in New Year's resolutions anymore. I want to encourage you guys that to understand that you, one, are your biggest investment. You are your biggest investment. And if you don't invest in yourself, then you're investing in other people, other businesses that are, taking your thing. But when I talk about investing in yourself, I want to talk about a holistic picture. So not just, okay, what do I need to do to get my professional goals done? You want to look at your professional career goals, your mental, your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, all that impacts. You can't do one that doesn't have an impact on the other. And at certain stages in your life, maybe the physical matters more because you've encountered an illness. At other stages, it's like, oh my gosh, my finances are crazy, so that impacts more. But you need to have a holistic plan for all those aspects of your life. And that's going to change at different stages of your life. So when we talk about entering the new year, look at yourself. You are your brand, you're your company. And when you work for a company, you have mid-year check-ins, you have annual reviews. So I want you to look, you are your company. You are your investment. You are the biggest investment you're going to invest in is yourself. So instead of I think a lot of people, the New Year's resolutions fall flat because of the fact that they're too lofty. And I always tell people, when you have goals, when you have dreams, and even if they seem big or they seem daunting, the best thing to do, break them down in bite-sized pieces. When you have babies, you don't just start feeding them solid food. They start off with, liquid. And then there's milk. And then you start giving them baby stuff, the stuff that's been mushed up, either in the food processor or the mom smashed it. And then you build them up to solids. And that's how, start looking at some of your goals. Let's break them down. Let's break them down, because guess what? When you break them down, you can achieve them. And also, just like the companies you work for, have quarterly check-ins. I'm not saying do one-on-ones with yourself, but you should have quarterly check-ins where you're like, okay, this is what I thought. This is not working. How do we tweak it? Or maybe, that short-term goal needs to be more long-term planning. So we're going to talk about framing it this way. Stuff that's like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of this stuff, just so for people who haven't followed me or my journey, I am first generation college. I am first generation law graduate. So a lot of the things, like my parents taught me the basics of how to budget and all this other stuff, but things like how to invest, How do you handle different situations at work where it's more than, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you've grown up first generation, you don't have people who've already been doctors, lawyers, or accountants to help you navigate that situation. So even unto what it looks to be, what mentorship looks like. And so we're going to get into what I call these life skills. And the beginning of the year, I think, is the time where most people are starting to think about, I need to make these changes and adjustments. I call them transitions. And transitions, where you're transitioning or you're pivoting from something. And one of the things I want to encourage you is, just like when you're with your job and you have your 401k, or your, when it's benefits enrollment time. Even though there's that one time where there's like, okay, you can do the benefits enrollment and there are no penalties or whatever, there are always exceptions. Like, okay, if something major happens, you got married, you got divorced, there's been a birth, there's been a death, you can make changes. And as you're going through life, if there's a major change, you need to go and rework and tweak your business plan for your life. So you're going to have your business plan for your life. You have your short-term goals, your long-term goals, but you can't be married to the plan. I'm a writer. One of the things that I know is that my first draft is not going to be my end draft. And if it is, there's something terribly wrong. So I go in knowing, spit it out loud on the page. We're going to cut here, we're going to delete there, or we're going to say, you know what, that's a great idea. It's not for this article, it's not for this book. Save it for later. So don't be so, we got to do it this way, that you're missing out on other opportunities. And also, don't feel like every closed door is a rejection. Because sometimes, as my dad would say, you dodged a bullet. And so one no or closed door here, closed door there, doesn't mean that something else isn't happening. The other thing that I want to talk about is, I know particularly if you're a perfectionist, a control freak, first generation college person, we've always been taught to push through, make it happen. The door closes, go through the window, go through the basement, da-da-da-da. A conversation I've been having for the past 6 months with friends, my peers, is, we've been so used to pushing through and understanding and realizing that sometimes being still is the action that's required. Sometimes you need to be still, let things unfold, because you're pushing through stuff when the best thing is be still and let things unfold. So I said all that to say, we're going to start going through our life skills. Rondaisms, life skills. How do we navigate these things in life? So sit back, relax, and please be patient with me. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. You're probably, if someone's like, oh my gosh, she's wearing the same thing, guess what? I'm going to spit these out as I have the time. So you'll probably see me in the same outfit, whatever. Like, this is probably going to be the same look. I'm just going to switch up some things. So, but also, FYI, I'm probably going to close comments because the whole point is disperse information. And if this is I'm not here for argument's sake. Like I said, there are resources. My background is as a lawyer, an educator, a reporter, a storyteller. And all of my articles, they're hyperlinks to everything that I'm saying. So I am, like, even when I taught at the college level, we are not here for argument's sake. So if you just want to talk to be seen, go elsewhere. I'm here to provide resources. I'm here to provide information that's going to be useful and helpful. And like I said, just to address questions that you guys have sent me and other things that I've been having in conversation with my peers and colleagues, as things are changing. So there'll be a session about student loans, not just for the adults, but also for the kids. There are changes, that happen with FAFSA. What do we do with finances? And how to just like for parents who are having kids transition from high school to college, or from college to they're supposed to be entering adulthood. We are going to address those things. So, welcome to Rondaisms. This is Rondaisms 2.0. I'm trying to do this differently. And I look forward to having you guys join me on this new journey. Bye.